Hey lore lovers, my name's Eric with the Lorebrarians YouTube channel, and welcome to part 2 of the Plane of Kaldheim Explained. Kaldheim is a vast plane steeped in myth, where 10 realms connect to one another through the cosmic world tree, where gods squabble with another and impart gifts on the worthy, and where mortals pursue ever greater and deadly feats in hopes that their deeds are immortalized into epics, ballads, and sagas. In part 1, we explored the 10 realms of Kaldheim in detail, learning about the peoples and cultures that populate them, and uncovering the mysteries surrounding the space between worlds. If you haven't already, be sure to check it out to better understand the foundation of Kaldheim. I'll put a link in the description below. In part 2, we're going to trace the history of this grand plane, from the birth of the world tree and the cosmos, to the formation of the realms, through the battle of the gods, all the way to the events surrounding the current day of the plane. We'll also take a closer look at the stories and arcs of characters that have either visited Kaldheim or currently call it home. But before we begin, if you're a fan of lore and storytelling, or if Magic the Gathering is dear to you, consider subscribing to the channel where lore videos are uploaded frequently. The support is much appreciated. Alright, time to scour the ancient texts, piece together the old songs sung and fables told through the great gathering halls as we dispel the mystery surrounding the Norse-inspired plane of Kaldheim. Let's dive in. The world was born from a seed, and that seed grew into the world tree, and everything else grew from it. Its leaves were every color imaginable, and as its branches spread out, they became worlds themselves. And once there were 10 strong branches, fruit grew on the branches, and those were the cosmos monsters. The serpent was the firstborn, and he has been growing since before the beginning of time. This is an excerpt from the first saga of Kaldheim, and it tells of the birth of the plane and everything within. The world tree is the supporting structure of Kaldheim, giving life to all creatures and maintaining balance among the realms that float along its branches. Shortly after the tree unfurled from its seed and grew in structure, it bore the first creatures to stir in Kaldheim, the Cosmos Monsters. Cosmos Monsters inhabit the nebulous aurora-like space that surrounds the world tree and separates the realms, although they are free to travel into and between any of the realms. Their movements seem erratic and disastrous, but they are responsible for guarding the world tree and cultivating its continued growth. The oldest and most powerful of the Cosmos Monsters is Koma, a serpent that may be larger than the world tree itself, with the ability to split itself into smaller serpents called coils. Countless other cosmos monsters exist, and it is a widely held belief amongst mortals and gods that the secrets of the cosmos and portents of the future are sealed within the minds of the monsters. Centuries after the birth of the world tree, the Valkyrie of Starnheim came into existence. These immortal creatures were born to both protect the tree and judge the valor or cowardice of the races that were soon to be developing within the realms. Valkyries are held to a higher order, not bent or swayed in their duty by any other. Not even the gods of Kaldheim are above the Valkyrie. Soon, civilizations began to emerge across the known realms. Races of humans, dwarves, elves, and others built great kingdoms, but despite their differences, all worshipped the world tree, whose branches they could see in the night sky. Over the centuries, one race grew closer in its connection to the world tree through its devoted worship of Koma the Cosmos Serpent. This connection granted them the ability to channel the essence of the world tree to truly powerful effect and vaulted them to the position of the first gods of Kaldheim. They would be known as the Ainir, ancient descendants of the elves. Not much is known of the Ainir, but remnants of their great power still linger in Kaldheim. They had a hand in shaping the realms of Kaldheim and even gave birth to new ones, which comes to us in an ancient saga of the creation of the shapeshifters of Littjara, illustrated in the card Bears of Littjara. Once a race on an unknown realm, they were continually threatened and harassed by their rulers. They prayed to the Ainir for salvation. In addition to granting them the ability to shapeshift, the Ainir sought to pull part of their own realm from its location on the world tree to act as a safe haven for the shapeshifters. What happened was unexpected, and instead, the Ainir's chaotic magic created a world that is partly formed, whose reality is malleable, and whose borders with the cosmos are thin. The five-fingered Pentafjord Lake acts as a symbol of the Ainir's power. The old gods were also responsible for battling the demon hordes of Kaldheim. For months to years their battle raged until the Aenir pushed the demons to Immersturm, then used powerful relics and rune-inscribed wards of their own design to seal the realm from the rest of the World Tree, preventing any demon from leaving the hellscape of Immersturm. For ages the Aenir claimed much of Kaldheim as their own, acting as gods to the mortal kingdoms that worshipped them. But a race unsatisfied with their position and seeking both power and glory plotted against the old gods and sought to challenge the Aenir. This race became known as the Skoti. The Skoti quickly grew in power thanks to their discovery or invention of the Cosmos Elixir, a special liquid distilled from the essence of the World Tree by Asika that granted tremendous power and increased longevity amongst other things. Whereas the Aenir's power came from their worship of Koma, the Skotis came from imbibing the essence of the World Tree. As they gathered strength, the Skoti also gathered allies and approached many mortal kingdoms, asking for aid in overthrowing the Aenir. Egon, a master over death, approached Narfi, the son of Karfel's High King, with an offer. Karfel was a prosperous realm with many duchies, vassals, and kingdoms. Narfi's father had been an ally to the Aenir, and they had gifted Karfel a longship capable of navigating the cosmos. Narfi used the longship to raid and pillage the other realms, adding to Karfel's opulence. When the Aenir approached and asked for assistance in fighting the Skoti, Narfi refused to lend his army. The eve before battle, Egon came to Narfi and offered to protect he and his people from death if Karfel joined the Skoti against the Aenir. Unbeknownst to Narfi, Egon's protection from death was to transform all of Karfel into undead, known as Draugr. This tale is highlighted in the saga King Narfi's Betrayal. The Skoti, now with the power of the Cosmos Elixir and the aid of an undead army, attacked the Aenir and their elven legions. War erupted across all of Kaldheim as the old gods battled new, and the pantheon of gods shifted and trembled. After years of bitter conflict, the upstart Skoti gained an advantage and dealt a crushing blow to the Aenir. They pushed them all the way back to the realm of Skenfar, where Halvar, wielding the mythical great axe Galdramel, cleaved the Aenir in two. The green-aligned Wood Elves and the black-aligned Shadow Elves. The Skoti did not relent. They sensed the enemy's weakness and pressed their advantage, banishing Koma, the Cosmos Serpent, and barring it from entering the realms. With their race splintered and their source of power banished, the Aenir were defeated. Alrund took the 7 remaining leaders of the Aenir and imprisoned them within the trunks of 7 great trees across all of Skemfar, illustrated in the card Binding of the Old Gods. These tree prisons would be known as Jaspera trees. With the old gods killed or maimed, and with the elves broken, the Skoti replaced the Aenir in the pantheon and took up residence in the gods' realm, the new gods of all Kaldheim. The centuries after the Skoti rose to godhood are marked by a slow and steady regression towards balance between the 10 realms of Kaldheim. On the rolling plains of Bredegard, the nascent tribes of humans were developing. The Wolfbreak saga tells of the formation of the Beskir and creation of the Code of Clans. As Alrund sought to fight and learn from every cosmos monster, he was bested by a large wolf that very nearly killed him. At the last moment, an arrow tore the air and struck the wolf in the eye. It roared with pain and retreated. The man who shot the arrow was named Hurik, and as thanks, Alrund gifted all of Feltmark to him and his descendants. Shortly after, representatives from all 5 clans joined to ratify the Code of the Clans and abide by its laws. It was during this time that the elves, descendants of the old gods, devolved to squabbling and infighting as the Wood and Shadow Elves blamed one another for their defeat. They slowly lost their power due to the severing of their bond with Koma, but many elves still remained devoted to the Cosmic Serpent. On the realm of Karfel, Narfi's mistake and betrayal of his people became apparent. The taint of undeath surged across Karfel as Narfi used his Draugr to conquer or annex all of the once great kingdoms. As the Dreadmarn pillaged and killed in the name of their betrayer king, the climate of Karfel cooled, snuffing out all life as glaciers and blizzards claimed the wilds. In a few short generations, all that remained of Karfel's legendary opulence was the port city of Marn, where the last High King ruled over his undead subjects. The transfer of power from the Aenir to the Skoti shifted the cosmos and broke old bonds. One such bond was that which the Aenir placed around Immersturm, the realm of demons. The Aenir were united and vigilant, constantly reinforcing their runes to keep the demons in their exile. The Skoti are disjointed, self-preserving, and egotistical. Though they resealed the bonds, they are not as watchful as the Aenir. As such, many demons began breaking through to other realms in the decades and centuries after the Skoti's rise. One demon that broke from his chains was the largest and most powerful demon on all of Immersturm, Varragoth. Generations after the Code of Clans was created on Bredegard, the Black-aligned Skella clan broke off from the rest and forswore their oaths, turning instead to the occult and carrying out demonic incantations to gain power. Their devotion brought Varragoth to Bredegard, and he led the Skella clan in a bloody war against the Beskir. They slaughtered indiscriminately as they made their way to the fortress of Beskir Hall. Few survived the demon's onslaught. Those that did beseeched the gods to intervene. Legend has it that the Skoti battled Varragoth for a month before wrestling him back to his prison on Immersturm. This tragic tale is illustrated in the saga Bloodsky Massacre. And it's now that we come upon the current age of Kaldheim. The cosmic serpent has been banished from the realms for centuries. Dangerous doomscars have become more frequent. Seers and mystics foretell imminent devastation of the plane. In the midst of it all are the planeswalkers Kaya, Nico Aris, Tibalt, and Tyvar Kell, whose actions could seal the fate of the plane. At the time of this recording, the final MTG stories have yet to be released, so the climax and resolution are up to a little speculation, and I will be relying more heavily on my interpretation of the story spotlight cards. The ghost assassin Kaya has come to Kaldheim in search of a monster, of which she has been hired to hunt by an unknown benefactor. She and a band of omen seekers led by Inga Runeeyes follow the trail of stories told of a grotesque beast carrying off villagers deep into the Aldergard. As they make their way through the forest, Alrund, god of the cosmos, disguised as an omen seeker, gets word from his raven Haka that the trail leads to a large cave. The group slowly advances into the darkness, stumbling upon multiple corpses and a web-like metallic structure coursing through the cave walls, seen in the card Dogged Pursuit. As they reach the back of the cave, they come face to face with Kaya's monster, a hulking, bony monstrosity that is in the middle of absorbing the flesh from its latest victim into its own body of metal. From its disgusting visage and alien description, it can be none other than Vorinclex, a praetor from New Phyrexia. Kaya attacks and injures Vorinclex, and in the heat of fighting, Alrund reveals himself to be a god. But the praetor escapes, melding into the bubbling web-like metal on the cave wall and leaving Bredegard. As this unfolds, Nico Aris, the newly ignited planeswalker from Meletis on Theros, arrives on Kaldheim, having escaped Klothys, the god of destiny, and her agents after Nico defied their own destiny. An expert javelineer that never misses, and an adept mirror mage, Nico gets caught up in the affairs of the Kana and Omen Seeker clans of Bredegard. Finn the Fangbearer has had visions of the long-exiled cosmic serpent breaking free from its chains and once more breaching into the 10 realms, specifically the realm of Starnheim. Nico takes on the responsibility of alerting the Valkyrie to the threat and travels to the Great Feast Hall at the top of the World Tree. Aris arrives too late to effectively warn them, and the sky soon erupts with massive omen paths and doomscars, opening Starnheim to the cosmos and the other realms. Koma surges through the breach, its giant maw aimed directly at the Valkyrie. Through great effort, Nico and the angels distract Koma and lure it into yet another tear in the fabric of the realms, falling into the burning hell of Immersturm. Meanwhile, Kaya travels to the realm of Notvold in search of her monster and happens upon a warren of haggy trolls gathered around a cloaked speaker. The speaker calls himself Valky, the god of lies, and is rousing the trolls to war, but Kaya sees through the illusion surrounding the speaker and dissipates it, revealing the devilish planeswalker Tibalt. Tibalt is an anarchist and loves chaos, and he has been traveling the realms of Kaldheim sowing discord amongst its inhabitants in preparation for full-scale war once the largest Doomscar in history is opened. From the saga of Tibalt, penned by the trickster himself, we learn that he was poisoned by a horrible beast, and in order to be cured, he had to create a distraction for the beast. To this end, Tibalt imprisoned the true Valky in a glacial prison on Karfell, and assumed his identity, seen in the card Icebind Pillar. In order to spread as much chaos, Tibalt needed a way to easily travel the cosmos, and so he visited the forges of Axgard, where Kal, the master bladesmith, was forging a sword made of pure tyrite for Halvar, god of battle. The Sword of the Realms had the power to cut through the cosmos itself, allowing the wielder to open up omen paths and more between realms. The Trickster God's heist shows us that Tibalt killed the swordsmith and took the Sword of the Realms for himself. He uses it to travel all of the realms, speaking in whispers and telling lies to the inhabitants, putting them on edge and fearful for the Doomscar that is sure to come. Kaya confronts him in the midst of his war-stirring sermon, but is attacked by trolls while Tibalt opens an omen path to Immerstern. Outnumbered and seemingly outmatched, Kaya is assisted by the intervention of Tyvar Kell, an elf of Skemfar, transmuter, and fellow planeswalker. Tyvar opens an omen path and the two follow Tibalt to Immerstern, fighting through demons, magma, and ash until they confront the devil at the top of a mountain. Tyvar and Kaya defeat Tibalt, wresting the Sword of the Realms from his hands, seen in the saga Fall of the Imposter. But they are too late. Tibalt opened the omen paths with the Sword of the Realms, cut through the cosmos itself, and destabilized the plane, leading to a massive Doomscar covering all 10 realms. This is the latest story that has been released by Wizards at the time of this recording, but it isn't the end of the story. From this point on, we'll be relying on the remaining story spotlight cards, as well as my own personal interpretations and deductions of events. Tibalt, through his use of the Sword of the Realms, has opened up connections between all the realms of Kaldheim, and he has stirred unrest amongst all of the races. A massive Doomscar erupts, causing great upheaval across the plane, with the realm of Bredegard at its center. The undead Draugr of the Dreadmarn march from Karfell, bent on conquest. The elves of Skemfar, led by King Harald, uniter of wood and shadow elves, are armed and equipped to do battle with the Skoti in an attempt to reinstate themselves as gods. The giants of Surtland, the Valkyrie of Starnheim, and the demons of Immerstern, all realms and races descend upon Bredegard, where a violent war erupts. But this battle is merely a distraction by Tibalt, a cause to divert the eyes of the Valkyrie, the gods, and any who would protect the World Tree from witnessing the machinations of the horrible beast that poisoned the trickster. No doubt the Phyrexian praetor Vorinclex. But amidst the turmoil of battle, the clash of steel, and the cries of the dying, Kaya gets wind of Vorinclex's trail, potentially from Alrund, whose insight grants him an epiphany into Vorinclex's plan. She tracks down Vorinclex and slays him, hopefully before he fulfills his mission, illustrated in the card Kaya's Onslaught. And if we zoom in on the art of the card to see the background, it looks quite similar to the art found in Tyrite Sanctum. Perhaps Vorinclex's mission was to abscond with a Tyrite during the confusion of the Doomscar, for purposes known only to Phyrexia. But it seems Kaya was able to thwart him. Elsewhere, battle still consumes all the realms, and the planeswalkers Nico Aris and Tyvar Kell likely work together in attempts to stop the bloodshed. It seems not even the gods are free from the conflict. We can see Halvar leading the spirits of Istfell into battle, and Tibalt's shackles of treachery have consumed Toralf in a blind fury, leading to much destruction. Harald and his elves likely see this as an opportune moment to strike, to slaughter the Skoti and reclaim the lost glory of the Aenir. From the card Struggle for Skemfar, we get a sense that Tyvar is aware of Tibalt's instigation, clouding his brother's judgment and stirring Harald to an action that may not be the best for Kaldheim. If the Skoti were killed at the moment of the Doomscar, it could destabilize the whole of Kaldheim, risking the lives of countless. It's unclear how the story of Kaldheim ends, but with Tibalt defeated, Vorinclex slain, and the Sword of the Realms in their possession, our three Planeswalker heroes may use the sword to close the Doomscars, seal the Omen Paths, and once more bring balance to the branches of the World Tree. But what of the fallout? Koma, the cosmic serpent, is exiled no longer, The seals of Immersturm seem to be broken, and the very fabric of the cosmos has been tampered. But like many things, only time will tell. Thanks for watching this video on the history of Kaldheim. Leave a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe for more lore content. And now I want to hear from you. Which characters are your favorite and which stories most fill you with inspiration? Let me know in the comments below, as well as suggestions for future videos. Huge shout out to pianist, composer, and longtime friend Alex Joaquim for the intro and outro music. The references used can be found in the description below. Until next time, go forth and explore the lore.